financially mostly, from what I see. Cause, it's all about, everyone wants to be a big shot, but they gotta pay the price. They have to know how to handle defeat.
If I'm not mistaken, a 92-pound weight difference, almost a 100-pound weight difference. It's insane. Let's say he comes in at 200 pounds. It's still a 65-pound weight advantage, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Into that.
I don't know what's going to happen with a 135-pounder going up against a 200-pounder.
Mike Tyson isn't holding back when it comes to Jake Paul's latest bold claim about beating Gervon Tank Davis. The former heavyweight champion, known for his brutal honesty as much as his devastating punches ripped into Paul after the YouTuber turned boxer, suggested he could defeat one of the most feared fighters in the sport today. Tyson, who has been both supportive and critical of Jake's boxing journey, made it clear that stepping into the ring with a pound-for-pound talent like Davis is no laughing matter. And he didn't mince words in reminding Jake of the gap between internet stardom and elite boxing greatness.
Quite surprised because it sounded like Jake Paul and Joshua was getting closer and closer for January. However, there have been rumours of Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul in the past. I think with Gervonta Davis's kind of legal problems in the last month or so and rumours about his retirement, I don't think it's a massive shock that he is taking this Jake Paul fight if it is going to go ahead, purely for the reason that it's a lot of money for maybe not the most difficult job that he's going to have in his career. So it's a strange one, but yeah, it's just another kind of day in the sport, really, isn't it?
The matchup between Jake Paul and Gervon Davis is scheduled for November 14th at the Casa Center in Miami, Florida. It was initially to be held in Atlanta, but was moved after concerns from the Georgia Athletic and Entertainment Commission over how large the weight difference is between the two fighters.
Oh my days. Jake Paul versus Tank Davis. Is this real? This can't be real. Because he was talking about fighting Joshua, which is heavyweight, and now he's saying about fighting Tank. Nah, this can't be. It's Netflix as well. I need to go and do some checks and see if like the main pages have posted this, but Jake Paul's posted it. It says Friday, November 14th. It's in Atlanta, State Farm Arena. This is random, no?
Jake Paul enters with a record that includes 12 wins, 7 by knockout, and 1 loss. Jake Paul leveraged his influencer fame into a serious boxing career through high-profile crossover fights and business ventures.
People are like so fucking insecure. I kind of lost myself in the whole entertainment world, and so when I found boxing, it gave me that like routine, that discipline. I got to like take time for myself in these boxing camps, and every day for training I had to like meditate. And boxing gave me the ability to like reflect on myself and like realizing who I was and who I wanted to be, and that helped me mature. You get addicted to that validation from others, and that's something that I realized that I had to face. And like, why do so many people want clout? I'm not good enough, I need followers, I need likes. It's driving a lot of our generation because they're working so hard to get this external validation.
Gervon Davis is undefeated in 30 wins, 1 draw, and many knockouts. He holds the WBA lightweight title, but that title will not be on the line in this fight because of the mismatch in size. And this fight is being promoted as an exhibition. That means some of the formalities of a typical professional bout, rounds, weight limits, and various regulatory constraints are more flexible and negotiable depending on which commission ultimately sanctions it.
25 is at the next year. I'm out of it.
After our second fight. You're out of it?
Yeah.
Care to elaborate on that?
Out of the sport.
After our second fight. Nah, no, I'm gonna win, bro.
Nah, I could tell you my fights.
Who do you think will win between Jake Paul and Gervonta?
But I don't know. It should be Gervonta, right? But the weight size and everything, we'll see. It's a fun entertainment.
Mike Tyson, who has already shared the ring with Jake Paul, has reportedly urged caution as Paul prepares for a showdown with Davis. Tyson understands firsthand the pressure and intensity of fighting Paul, but he also recognizes the serious risks of facing a fighter as skilled and explosive as Davis. While Paul has size and youth on his side, Tyson believes tank speed, technical mastery, and knockout power make him a dangerous opponent regardless of the weight difference. His warning reflects concern that Paul may be underestimating the level of danger Davis presents. For Tyson, the spectacle may draw massive attention, but he stresses that Jake must weigh his legacy against the real physical risks.
I think Gervonta Davis is probably the greatest fighter around now, but he's got a tough fight coming up. You know, he's the top dog, there's no doubt about it. He showed that, but Barrios, he's a pretty good fighter. Last time I saw him fight, he was pretty durable.
Eddie Hearn has expressed serious concerns about Jake Paul's fight with Gervonta, arguing that it's more than just a spectacle. He warns that the matchup may be an uneven contest in terms of size, risk, and safety, and that Paul could emerge from it physically damaged. Despite acknowledging the huge financial incentive and public interest in the bout, Hearn feels the mismatch could lead to getting beaten up, which might derail Paul's plans, especially a fight with Anthony Joshua. He says that even though the commercial appeal is enormous, sometimes the danger is too real to ignore. While he rates the fight's chances as 50-50, his underlying message is clear. In this fight, Paul risks far more than just his record. In Hearn's view, his well-being is on the line.
We know that Gervonta's going to fight Jake Paul in November, and then we'll see what happens if there's an AJ fight. Be interested to go from Gervonta Davis to Anthony Joshua, but I don't think the Chavez fight is terrible. I think it's a smart bit of business.
I think it's extremely dangerous for Jake Paul. You know, I've got the general feedback is the boxing world saying, please AJ, go in and evaporate this young man from the boxing world so we can all get on as normal. You've got Jake Paul fans thinking bizarrely they can beat Anthony Joshua. And the most bizarre thing out of everything is that Jake Paul genuinely believes he will beat Anthony Joshua. I think that's the only reason we're going to see this fight, but I truly believe you're going to see it at the beginning of 2026.
Carl Froch, former super middleweight world champion, has raised serious safety concerns about the Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis exhibition, citing an estimated 65 pounds weight gap between them. Froch notes that Jake Paul has recently competed near the cruiserweight limit, about 200 pounds, while Davis fights at lightweight around 135 pounds.
I mean, I don't really take Jake Paul that serious. He can't really box. He can have a little fight, he can have a swing. He swings away, stands up straight, and he throws punches, but it's not professional boxing. Because when I watch him box, it's just so much wrong. It's just everything's wrong. It's so bad. He's got leaky defence. He telegraphs his punches. Like, you put him in with someone his own size, it was a professional, and it's a mismatch. And you'll see that if he ends up fighting somebody. Tommy Fury, bless him, he's a pro boxer, but he's inexperienced. He's got no amateur pedigree. He's a raw novice, or maybe just above the raw novice. I was saying earlier, where would I put him in terms of levels? He'd do well to win a British title. He's at that sort of level, and then from British title to world level, it's like different worlds. It's like totally different. It's like a different sport.
Froch argued that in a real boxing world, this matchup wouldn't be licensed because the risk is too high. He points out that Davis has never had to absorb blows from someone with Paul's size and mass, and that a single heavy punch from Paul, especially one thrown swinging or from the hip, could do serious damage.
My name was mentioned at his press conference and he shit himself, and the fight was just absolutely fucking diabolical. Again, I've said before, he's not a professional boxer, he never will be, and he proves time and time again that he's not a professional fighter. So, Jake Paul, go on, piss off.
Though Froch believes Davis has the technical skill, movement, and pacing to control parts of the fight, he doubts Davis has enough power to decisively hurt Paul. Still, the unnatural weight advantage held by Paul makes the contest dangerous in Froch's view.
Just here at Los Naranjos in Viva, España, and I found out that Gervonta Davis is now fighting Jake Paul. So Jake Paul was supposed to be fighting AJ. Eddie Hearn announced 99% done, which we've just spoke about. What next for AJ? Potentially Jake Paul. But it now looks like that Jake Paul is fighting one of Anthony Joshua's legs. He's fighting Gervonta Davis, somebody who's a quarter of his size. I don't even know what's going on. Has Eddie Hearn been played? Let me know what you think. But the AJ fight with Jake Paul's finished. Gervonta Davis, fake Paul, November, I don't know what's going on in the world of boxing. This is an absolute joke. What next for AJ? We'll get into this, and there's so many questions I want to get into in the next episode, but hope you enjoyed this one. And yeah, I just thought I'd give you a quick update because the news has just come in and I'm just trying to relax and play a bit of golf, and I can't. I've got to get it off my chest. I'm going to add it to this video. Hope you enjoy it. Don't forget, if you haven't already, hit like, share and subscribe to the best channel in the business, Frotch on Fighting, and we'll see you very soon.
Meanwhile, unlike many, Chael Sonnen doesn't think the matchup is as mismatched as many assume. On his YouTube channel, he stated, "It's not as bad a fight as you guys think," distinguishing it from the previously touted Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua clash. However, Sonnen pinpointed a significant issue. Davis does not know how to sell a fight. He argued that Tank cannot promote or hype a matchup, whether it's a title bout or main event, making the fight less compelling from a marketing standpoint.
The exact opposite has happened. The opposite of fighting Anthony Joshua is not fighting nobody. The opposite of fighting Anthony Joshua is fighting Tank Davis. Okay, so there's one big glaring issue for me. It's just your partner being Tank Davis. Tank is not the guy that knows how to sell a fight. Tank cannot sell a fight in his own division. It could be a title fight, a contenders fight, a main event fight. He could be the favorite, he could be the underdog. Tank doesn't know how to bring that information to you guys in a way that is compelling. And Tank is already blinking in this situation. You have one guy who is argued amongst the pound for pound current greats in boxing. You have another guy that has suggested he should not even be allowed to box, that he should have to call it something different. He should not be licensed. He should not be ranked in the top 14. He should never be selected for a world title. Okay.
Carl Froch, former super middleweight world champion, has raised serious safety concerns about the Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis exhibition, citing an estimated 65 pounds weight gap between them. Froch notes that Jake Paul has recently competed near the cruiserweight limit, about 200 pounds, while Davis fights at lightweight around 135 pounds.
If Jake Paul wasn't Jake Paul, if he wasn't this YouTube guy, he was just a boxer, and you see a boxer knock out the former UFC welterweight champion, not just the former, but one of the best ever, knock him out with one punch like that, like, oh man, have you seen this Jake Paul dude coming up? He's fucking for real. Because nothing about watching him fight, to me, screams like he's in over his head. Nothing. He looks like a real boxer.
Critics argue that Jake Paul's recent actions, including his victory over 58-year-old Mike Tyson, highlight a troubling trend in his boxing career. Many view his choice to face an aging legend as a spectacle rather than a legitimate challenge, casting doubt on his commitment to the sport. Notable figures like Carl Froch have dismissed Paul's performance as lacking genuine skill, suggesting that his success is more about entertainment than athletic prowess.
Jake Paul, you've lost your mind if you think you can go toe-to-toe with Anthony Joshua. Listen, let's not get confused, guys. Let's not get confused. Yes, cool. Anthony, he took a big L with Daniel Dubois. But Daniel Dubois is not no joke, bro. He's not a joke. You know what I'm trying to say? He took an L there, but Jake Paul, I got the utmost respect of what he's done, how he's managed to navigate through the boxing world. Like, bro, it's so mad. And I can see this is like a 90%. It's happening, it's positioning, it's marketing already. Like, why would you see Jake Paul go face to face with Alexander Usyk if it's not to position for a fight for Saudi? Obviously, Jake Paul's gonna fight Anthony Joshua. There's possibly gonna be a Usyk against Tyson Fury 3, because obviously the last two were so close. But you never know. It can also be a Usyk against Derek Chisora. Do you know what I mean? You never know.
There's growing chatter that Jake Paul might face Anthony Joshua in a high-profile showdown possibly in early 2026. Paul's manager, Nakisa Badarian, has confirmed talks are happening and pointed to Wembley Stadium and other large venues as possible locations. Paul has repeatedly called out Joshua, claiming confidence that he can pull off a major upset.
And who will be the queen of the United? Too soon? I'm praying that boxing doesn't happen to this fight, and what I mean by that is politics. People trying to take more money than they deserve. Fuck the money, get in there, make fucking history. This is one of the biggest fights that could happen over this past decade. Make it fucking happen, Eddie Hearn. Make it fucking happen, Frank Warren. Make it happen, Tyson. Make it happen, Anthony Joshua. We don't need fucking excuses. Don't let boxing ruin this fight. Get in the fucking ring and fight like men.
Joshua's promoter, Eddie Hearn, has expressed interest, saying it could generate massive attention and reward. Critics, however, warn Joshua risks damaging his legacy if he steps into the ring with Paul, who many still view as more of an entertainer than a serious contender. Meanwhile, Paul is using these rumors to build momentum, positioning himself increasingly as a dangerous wild card in heavyweight boxing.
Let's talk about AJ ever so quickly. I watched Jake Paul the weekend. I feel a bit dirty saying that because I'm not a fan of his, but he did say after the fight that he's sort of having DMs or he's dropping text messages to AJ. They're having a chat about a potential fight. What's your view on that, Eddie?
Well, look, he's calling out Gervonta Davis, who is a 135-pound lightweight, and he's calling out Anthony Joshua, that's a heavyweight monster. I think Jake Paul is crazy enough to fight Anthony Joshua because the money would be absolutely obscene. It's a catastrophic mismatch that people would tune in to watch because it would lead to the end of Jake Paul. Hopefully not literally, but it's that dangerous that, you know, it's a fight that I don't think should really happen, if I'm honest. I would say about Jake Paul, and I've said this in a couple of interviews today, I do think you start after giving him a margin of respect. You know, I think this guy is going through the motions, he's putting the hard spars in. He just went 10 rounds with, yes, a washed-up fighter, but a former world champion that did train for that fight. But they're very clever in terms of the opponents that they pick. They're not going to gamble unless the money's out of control. And it wouldn't surprise me if Jake Paul, wanted to move forward with an Anthony Joshua fight. Honestly, AJ's coming tonight. He's not exactly looking at Jake Paul going, oh, that's my dream opponent. No. Would he go in there and give him a hiding for, you know, a massive chunk of money? Probably. I'd be saying, yeah, go on. I'd like to see it.
Stephen A. Smith has repeatedly criticized Jake Paul's choice of opponents, arguing that many of them aren't active, high-level boxers, or are past their prime. He believes Paul hasn't proven himself against those who represent the current elite of the sport. In response, Paul has insisted he attempted to fight Tommy Fury, saying Fury declined his offers, highlighting that the Fury fight would have been a major test. The bout with Tommy Fury in February 2023 turned out to be one of the few times Paul faced a full-blown professional boxer in his prime. Paul lost that fight by split decision, marking his first and so far only defeat against a boxer who is active and well established in the sport.
You are beating up on dudes who don't box. They're not boxers.
I was on Disney Channel while these guys were winning UFC championships.
Okay.
You know, I was playing with Mickey Mouse while these guys were throwing arm bars and winning UFC championships. Everyone's, you know, analyzing my career, critiquing it, paying attention to it from day one, but you can't tell me who was Mike Tyson's first fight. You can't tell me who Muhammad Ali, who was his fourth fight. No one knows, but everyone's seen all of my fights. I tried to fight Tommy Fury. Yeah, I tried to fight Tommy Fury and he backed out due to a rib injury. Undefeated, young prospect. He comes from the Fury family. You know, his brother's the heavyweight champion of the world. I tried to fight him and he got scared.
Stephen A. Smith has repeatedly criticized Jake Paul's choice of opponents, arguing that many of them aren't active, high-level boxers, or are past their prime. He believes Paul hasn't proven himself against those who represent the current elite of the sport. In response, Paul has insisted he attempted to fight Tommy Fury, saying Fury declined his offers, highlighting that the Fury fight would have been a major test. The bout with Tommy Fury in February 2023 turned out to be one of the few times Paul faced a full-blown professional boxer in his prime. Paul lost that fight by split decision, marking his first and so far only defeat against a boxer who is active and well established in the sport.
can't buy the hype at this particular moment in time. Now, I'll give Jake Paul credit for this. At least he's in the ring with a boxer. But 57 years old is 57 years old. And 57 years old and formally walking into a UFC fight as an audience member, as a patron with a cane, it's hard to me to believe a year later that you're going to be in any condition to really, really fight. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know. And if you're Jake Paul, here's what I want to say to you. It's Mike Tyson, that's fine. It's a money fight, I get you, and you want to make money. But at some point in time, if you keep telling us that you're taking boxing seriously and you want to be recognized as a big-time boxer / fighter, you're going to have to fight somebody closer to your age, who is a contender at the very least in the sport and who lives with it every single day. Could you please get in the ring with somebody? Pretty please with sugar on top. I'm interested.
What did you think about the fight, Jake Paul?
I hate it. And Jake Paul's starting to piss me off. Mike Tyson is 57 years old, man. Jake Paul been training with professional boxing trainers for years. He takes the sport very seriously.
Thank you. So let me ask you, that's the question I have, because great kid, great businessman, by the way, amazing. And I know how he does all this, the character and the persona. We keep saying that he doesn't want to be a boxer. He's not a boxer, but then
Jake Paul is a boxer.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my point.
Exactly. He's a boxer.
He can fight. I respect it. So go in there against fighters. You should be climbing the ladder towards those other fighters and taking the sport seriously to the point where you're fighting actual boxers. Now he decides to fight a fighter, a real fighter, which is Tyson. But Tyson is 30 years older. Stop this nonsense of going against dudes that either ain't boxing or is 25 years removed from the sport.